stories into purpose-driven businesses, and we're going to do the same thing for you today. So
yes,
let's get into it.
So much fun. And what Tucker and I were talking about earlier is, you know, in preparation is we want you to know that I know that in some other sessions, you know, it's been like present mode. You get present mode, present mode, present mode. This is not about that. Today, you got to roll up your sleeves and get ready for business, because that's what we're going to do here. It's a working session. So get your workbook and your journals and your pens, get everything ready so you can rock your pitch, and that you'll be ready to do some of the activities so that you can have really good practice in here, okay? In my former life, I was a drama therapist. So, you know, I really know about handling drama. And today we're going to have a lot of drama. When you tell your story and people give feedback, we're going to talk about how important it is to be positive and to get yourself out there. So here's what we're going to cover. First, in the first part of this session, we're really going to focus on you and your personal brand, as Tucker was saying. And then we're going to talk a little bit about your customer and the challenges they face and how your solution helps them. Then we're going to get you to really come up with that pitch, and you're going to practice giving it to people at your table. So if you're at a two-person table, when we go into breakout, you might consider joining a larger table so you can hear more people. But if you want to just have one-on-one with somebody, make sure you're at a table. If you're not, you know, we're going to jump down there and get at your table. And so you're always going to have us in the field. The second part of what we're going to look at is your story. And how do you tell the story of you, and how do you help your clients, your investors understand what it is that you are bringing, what's your offer really, and what are you doing that will help them? And last, not last, but third, we're going to do future you. And you know, I'm big on the future poll. So that's this section. We're going to look at, let's say, you know, a couple years from today, 3 years, big future you poll. And then what do you need to do to pull and accelerate yourself to it? Last, we're going to look at your LinkedIn profile and help you finesse that so you get that I am statement in there. Anything you want to add, Tucker?
I think you nailed it. I think it's absolutely perfect synopsis of what we're going to do today. We're going to keep the energy high, but just as a reminder, this is not going to be always 30,000 feet, as Patty said. We want you getting in, doing the work, because we want you to literally walk away with something that you have in your hand, whether it's finished or not. It's the perfect foundation for moving forward. So,
yes. So here's a couple of things. Just, we want you to engage, meaning use the chat, you know, go in here, email people, cheer people on. There's a way to use the emojis over there. You can see by the button. So open your chat box right away and let me know you know how to use it. And then connect through social media, post things with hashtag women in cloud or hashtag she soars, something to really get it out there that we are here as a community, and just share all that information. And mostly remember to connect with people. This is about networking and bringing your full self. Okay. So now we of course have a table breakout activity right away for you to do. So our next slide will give you that what you're going to do next. So hold, Olivia, show us that slide with their interactive. The next slide in our deck. Hold on one second. She's going to bring it back up. I know she is. And if she doesn't, I know what it is already. So that's what we'll do. We'll get you going. At your table, we're going to send you into network mode. No, actually, we're going to have you put it in the chat. Is that right, Tucker? Yes, we're going to put it in the chat. What is your one takeaway that you've had so far being here at Women in Cloud? What's one takeaway? And go ahead and put that in the chat. And then, of course, you know, I'm going to have to draw pictures of it. Tucker's going to read me what's there. Yeah.
Community. I will tell you, I have worked on hundreds of events. I've never seen community like this ever, like Women in Cloud, which is why I'm here for a fourth time. I've never seen community more important. So yes, community is super important. Interactive. Collective power, diversity, yes, 17 countries represented this week, amazing. Open networking, deeper relationships, passion, collaboration. Let's test Patty's drawing skills right now. Energy and motivation, something that Patty does not have. Incredible networking.
Okay, cool. And energy and motivation. All right. Okay, cool. I love it. Now, let's get into the action, shall we, Tucker? I'm going to jump off the stage so you have full view for you, okay?
Perfect. Excellent. All right, everyone, thank you so much for being here. I want to dive right into our first part of the session today. Last year, if you attended, I stood before you and talked about the power of voice and story and why I think they play such pivotal roles in business development and networking. It took me a long time to figure that out, but once I did, it completely changed the trajectory of how I do business. I have met some of the most amazing people by using storytelling and working on my personal brand that I ever have in the last year or two, including Linda, who's on here today. You'll meet her a little bit. But this year, we're going to take it a step further. We're going to get into action. This is going to be inspired action today. We're going to do the work. We're actually going to get some, we're not going to stay up here. We're going to get right down to ground zero and do the work. I want you to walk away, and Patty wants you to walk away with a much more confident voice, a clearer picture of who you are, what you represent, how you talk about yourself, how you market yourself, and something that I call clarity of purpose. That is one of the number one things I get, especially from entrepreneurs. I have all of these things, all these plates spinning, but I don't understand the clarity of my purpose. So we'll talk about that today. And this works for entrepreneurs, this works for businesses, that works for product development. But what I really want to focus on today specifically is starting with you. So when we think of brand, often we think about Starbucks and Amazon, Apple, but I firmly believe the most important and critical brand to be attached to is yourself. And very rarely do we consider ourselves the most important brands in our lives. And I think you are the most incredible brand that you can buy into. So we're going to focus on that today. And why do I say that? Because without you, without what you stand for, without what you believe, without all of that inherent zone of genius that you bring to the world, we wouldn't have these big brands, including the fact that you are the drivers of the next generation of what great brands look like. And most importantly, you would not be living your best life. It took me decades to figure that out. And when you get in alignment with who you are as a personal brand, it's life altering. In fact, if anything, I think when you live in that spirit, you are absolutely unstoppable. And how many of us would not want to be unstoppable after last year? I think we're all in that unstoppable mode. So today we're going to be talking about rocking your pitch. But before you rock your pitch, you have to be able to rock yourself. And I think that is really, really important. What do I mean by that? When we think of personal brand, it's the connection, it's the experiences that you create with others that build long-term equity. Okay, it's experiences, it's stories. What makes you tick, what drives you, what inspires you. One thing I challenge you to do the next time you go to a cocktail party, instead of asking somebody what they do, where they work, ask them when they wake up in the morning what inspires them. I can guarantee that cocktail party will turn into something much better than you ever anticipated. And then the number one thing that entrepreneurs and business leaders come to me with is they know exactly what their company does, what their product does, and then someone says, well, what do you do? And they struggle to find the words. And that is so incredibly hard sometimes, is to say, I know what I do. I know what I do with my hands and my brain and my heart, but what do I do as a person? So we're going to talk about that today. In fact, that's going to be our first exercise. And I tell you, I have done this multiple times over the last few years, including just 6 months ago, because I realized every iteration of it, if you've done this before, do it again. I get more in alignment every single time that I do it. So we're going to jump into that today. So what we're going to do is we're going to find your I am statement. Who am I? What do I do? What do I stand for? So that if somebody says, hey, Patty, what do you do? Then you're able to answer that question. And then we'll talk about how those applications go even further when we talk about social media, other platforms, et cetera, et cetera. So let's dive into our first exercise. Patty's going to help me go over this exercise. And Olivia, if you could put up the first slide. This is going to be slides 58 through 60 in your workbook. If you...
He's so awesome, isn't he? He's got his teacher mode going. I love it. We've got the page numbers, all of that. All right. So Olivia's going to bring up our slide. And this is 58 through whatever Tucker said. Here's the very first thing. What are the 5 things that you are passionate about? We want you to think about, brainstorm, what are the 5 things you're passionate about? And then what are the 5 gifts that you bring to the world? It's important to know what your strengths are, what you're good at, what you bring. And so take a moment to fill that out. And then as soon as you have some things and you've finished it, I want you to put some things in the chat. That's how we'll know to move on to the next exercise. 5.
And remember, those 5 things that you're passionate about, it's not necessarily about the work in the office at your desk. What are you passionate about in life? You'd be surprised how many things that you discover about yourself that you may or may not be doing in your professional world that maybe are out of alignment. And part of this exercise is finding the things that are in alignment. So make sure that you think about that from that perspective. So 5 things that you're passionate about and 5 gifts or things that you feel that you bring to the world that nobody else can. And thank you. Olivia did put in the chat, if you don't have the workbook, please click on the link. And yes, Lisa, we will have access to the replay afterwards. Of course. It's funny, we were talking to someone before we got on the stage about how they started using the exercises they learned yesterday with their family. I was just thinking about this, Patty. I'm going to use the same exercise with my kids.
Yeah, fantastic. I love it. Okay, let's see. A few people, just put a few of your passions into the chat, and then I can put it up here.
Yes, Linda, helping women become more confident, using affirmations to create new beliefs. Linda's been helping me with affirmations, and it's changed my life. Kate, being a strong woman, kindness to animals, getting outdoors, relationship with family, volunteering. And then Sherry, I have to read this, empower. She has one letter on each chat.
Thank you.
Joy, environment and equality, writing, learning, and dancing.
Okay, good. Now, how about those skills, those strengths, those skills? What's your gifts that you have?
What do you offer the world? Resourceful, solving complex problems, empathy and listening. My heart, authentic love, optimism. Ron is the ever optimist. I can definitely say that. Kindness, perspective, keeping purpose in mind, building connections, arranging things. I need Madison in my life. Loyalty, making my husband smile, my grandfather's gift for talking to anyone. Kate, my grandfather had the exact same gift of gab. We'd be at the airport and he'd be talking up people up a storm just trying to find his luggage. Faithfulness.
So these things, I think, and also you can think about what it is that you help people with. What are the things that you do in the world that are kind of like your agilities that you help people to do? You help them make connections. You help to network them. You know, somebody said, you know, I work at C-level boards, right? So providing clarity and chaos and ideation. Okay, fantastic. All right, so now you know really what the ground level is of where you are, right? And so I'll take you into the next slide because this will help us to build and scaffold this piece for the activity that you're going to build out in the next couple of pages. All right, so let's go to our next slide, which is the second part of exercise 1. What does your ideal audience look like? You know, this is almost like doing an empathy map of who your ideal client is, your ideal audience. What are the 5 biggest pain points that they have? And what are the 5 solutions that you can support them with? That's not just your solution with your personal self, it's your solution maybe with your product, and Tucker would do it in reverse. He'd say it's not just your product, it's about your personal solution, what you add. What else would you add to this, Tucker?
I think one of the most important things that I have learned, it's so easy to want to get into the solution first. And you want people to think about whatever you're providing, your product or company, or you yourself, you want to immediately get into the solution. But it's very hard for people to see your solution if you don't show them that you understand their pain or their pain points, their challenges, their struggles. The moment that you talk about those pain points, you're recognizing those pain points. You are creating a language that everybody understands. There's where that empathy comes in. And the moment you start talking about those pain points, then you've created connection, you've created trust, you create relatability. Automatically, you've captured them in a way that's going to be much different than if you jumped right into solutions. People don't necessarily want to hear about rainbows and unicorns all the time. They want to be heard and seen for the things that they are going through. That's never been more apparent since last year. And we're seeing more and more people connect on a deeper level through the pain points than they are the solution points.
Okay, good. So that someone asked, what's the way we can modify this if we're not pitching it to a client, but say to a recruiter or a new person you meet in your company? So I would say this is about you being able to talk about what it is. So even if I'm leading a class, for example, or I want people to understand how to draw their future, I'm going to say, have you ever felt like you have set a goal for yourself? You tried to make it happen and you couldn't get it to happen, right? Have you ever felt that way? Or you made a list of something. So I think about when you're thinking about pain points, it's about what do you think that, depending upon the job that you're speaking to the recruiter about, that you think are things that you're capable of solving. What pain points are you capable of solving with your skills?
Yeah. And what we're going to do, and you'll find when we finish up this exercise is, and hopefully this will help answer the question too, you're going to have a statement, an impact statement that says exactly what you do, regardless of who you're speaking to. It is something that you can discuss with somebody else, family members. How many times do you have a family member? Oh, I forget what you do. What do you do again? And this is an opportunity for you to connect and clarify exactly what you bring to the world. So when you think about it for modification, yes, you can modify the language as you go, but let's look at the impact statement that you're going to draft first and then see how we can tweak that.
Okay.
And we will be doing some, Pat, I just want to remind you, we are going to be doing some breakouts for this exercise so that you're going to have a little bit more time to think about it. And then Patty and I will be table hopping, and Linda Cormier, you'll see out in the audience, she's also going to be there to support you. Use this as an opportunity to connect with one another and go back and forth and see if it resonates with somebody else.
All right.
So
let's hear some of the things of who you believe your ideal audience is. And that might be your ideal employer, right? Who's your ideal audience? Give me some ideas of that so I can put it up here.
And remember, on your ideal audience, the one thing that I've learned, when you try to be everything to everyone, you end up being nothing to no one. Be specific, right? Even if you feel that it's too narrow, guess what? The more narrow you get and the more people you help within that smaller niche, the ripple effect becomes larger.
Data scientists wanting to use visual data for better customer insights. Yeah, I think I know who that is doing that. Okay, cool. Good job. I love that. All right. Employee communicators.
Employee communicators.
Read those out to me if you will.
Oh, I like that. Women on boards, CEOs, country heads, companies with broken customer relationships. That is an excellent one. Leaders. And then think about leaders, specifically what kind of leaders? Are they women leaders? Are they youth leaders? Are they young leaders? Are they, think about going even narrower than that. Peers, friends, and executives. New leaders, up and coming leaders. I like that, Jack. I will tell you, this stat astonished me. As of last year, 50% of the world's population is 25 and under. 50%. So when you think about the next generation of leadership, think about what those targeted audiences look
Yeah,
like. CEOs that believe in technology as a business driver.
fantastic.
Excellent.
All right, now give us some of those challenges. What are some of the challenges?
Talk about the pain. What are the pain points? What are people facing right now that they need? Misalignment between word and deed. Very interesting. Lacking confidence, overthinking. Lacking awareness, lacking a holistic view of the problem, being out of balance. Oh, this is good. Crisis at home, financial crisis, health issues. I think a lot of that has come up in the last 12 months or so. Recalculating, recalibrating our health and finances. Underrepresentation, when we look from a diversity and gender gap. Well, I like this. Culture not turning out as they intended. Trying to find intention within the organization.
Okay, good.
Unproductive. Good. These are great.
These are fantastic. All right, now let's hear some of those solutions. Some of the solutions that you have as a person, some that you offer as a product.
We're waiting on some answers. Solutions. Coaching. Helping leaders co-create a new narrative. Aligning your team. Holistic integration. Method to manage change, complexity, and risk. Oh, I like Niru. Very, very simple. Listen. I love it. Our product is one step in helping data scientists, Aperture DB, mentored learning to assist in real-world challenges, creating network opportunities, strategy sessions for both personal and professional means, leading and teaching meditation, spending time in stillness, blending communications.
Okay, good. I love it that you're very clear on this. Okay, good. Let's move on to the next one, Tucker, shall we? Let's bring up that. Go ahead. You talk about it first, and then we'll bring up that slide, unless you want to bring up the slide and talk about it.
Yeah, you can bring up that slide. So what we're going to do now is formulate. Let me make sure there we go. We're going to formulate that statement for all of you. And this is something we're going to spend a little bit of time on, because I think you'll start to see this on a lot of social platforms. When people starting to post, you'll see it in their LinkedIn profiles. It's this I am statement. It's this impact statement. This is an opportunity to be able to talk about who you are, who you talk to, the solution that you provide, and what the benefit is when they work with you or connect with you. So this structure, or the way in which this is put out, I help whoever that audience is, and remember, it's okay to go really narrow on this, to, and whatever that solution looks like, so they can feel, do, act, whatever the verb is, to accomplish that mission. So one thing, here's an example, and these happen to be ours because I want to be able to talk to it in depth. Mine happens to be, I help inspired entrepreneurs, so I focus a lot on entrepreneurs or small businesses, turn their personal stories and brands. So it's going back, like kind of what I talked about last year, is using that power of your story to turn and create purpose-driven businesses so they can create the greatest human impact possible.
Fantastic. I love it. Okay.
And then
see how his broke down into those categories. So we have about a total of 15 minutes. And so here's what we'd like you to do. If you would spend about 5 minutes working on this, get it into some shape, and then make sure we're going to put you in networking mode starting now. And then once we do, you're going to work on your own for a little bit. And when you're ready, start to share at your table. Give your pitch to each other and get some feedback. And just a couple of things about feedback. You know, it's really important to be incredibly supportive to people first. So always talk about what you liked, about what they did, or how they presented themselves. And then you can give them a few pieces of feedback if they want it. Sometimes people don't. So just let them deliver it, and then give them kudos, whatever it is, and ask, do you want any feedback if you have some? Okay, so you get their agreement first. All right, so let's send them into breakout to fill out this sheet and practice with each other. We're going to jump around to tables. So we'll see you soon. Get going, get busy, hurry up.